So, another Total War game is out. Total War 3 Kingdoms. The new historical title, the new big historical title in fact, one that has been looked forward to by many fans in the ongoing power struggle between fantasy and history. But now the historical side have got what they wanted, to have a new historical Total War. I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while, and I was looking forward to it so much I in fact went for the collector's edition, which comes with a variety of goodies including a collector's art book, game itself, a lovely box, and a big old statue. But, while all these accessories are all well and good, what is the game like? What is it like? Well, I haven't had time to write a full review because I have a lot left to play before I can possibly do a full review of the game. However, how about a mini review? How good is the game so far, at least at a first impressions level? Well, let's find out. Let us go in and see Total War 3 Kingdoms in a mini review. When it comes to real-time strategy, turn-based strategy, or grand strategy, or all of the above, I have always felt myself to be an averagely skilled player, intelligent enough to run a small campaign and take out inferior foes, but too blunt, too simplistic, and not clairvoyant enough to tackle larger foes or fully realise the consequences of my actions many minutes or turns down the line. Therefore, I'm not particularly great at Total War games, or at least the modern ones. I can beat Rome 1 on hard and give Medieval 2 a good run for its money, but when it comes to the more modern games like Warhammer or Thrones of Britannia, it isn't long until I'm floundering or making silly mistakes which kneecap my faction's ability to become a winner. I had this particular reservation when jumping into 3 Kingdoms, and I was concerned I would become overwhelmed and become Dong Zhu's new Chutoi, but upon starting the campaign as Cao Cao, and now being just over 100 turns into the campaign, I can say that this is one of the most accessible Total War games I have ever played, and a great game for those seeking to get into a more advanced strategy game, but I'm not quite ready for the grand strategy games yet, which require an IQ of 5,000. But this accessibility doesn't come at the price of alienating old Total War fans. Those seeking fresh new challenges and dilemmas to face will be presented with new diplomatic options, battlefield scenarios, and more approaches to beating the campaign. To quickly set out the context of the theatre of war you'll be taking part in, it's ancient China. The Han Empire is failing, and now has been usurped by the tyrannical Dong Zhu, who after facing some initial resistance has fled into the west while keeping a puppet emperor in his custody. Now several opportunistic warlords have risen from the chaos, from yellow turban rebels seeking to end tyranny against the peasantry to governors aiming to assert their position as true emperor of China, or build a new coalition of allies to end Dong Zhu's tyranny. There's a variety of factions to play with their own strengths and weaknesses and approaches to different situations. However, the main goal for the main factions is to reunify China and achieve the mandate of heaven to govern as one true emperor. Other factions such as Yellow Turbans have goals based on achieving Taoist enlightenment. However, I will talk about them in a little mini review of their own since they are a DLC faction. For now though, what's new in this new installment of Total War? What features have Creative Assembly been hyping up, and are they actually that good? Well, from my point of view, the 3 main focus points of 3 Kingdoms has been heroes, diplomacy, and progression. How well have these systems been implemented? Can there be any improvements, or has the nail been hit on the head? Well, firstly, let's look into heroes. Now, the Warhammer titles of the Total War series introduced the larger-than-life legendary lords such as Karl Franz of the Empire, Archaon the Ever-Chosen, and Malekith, who were single overpowered units capable of leading factions and entire armies without a traditional bodyguard unit, as we have seen in many Total War games gone past. Backing up these legendary lords as well were heroes who could throw down quite well against multiple units and support certain parts of their armies. The 3 Kingdoms era also boasted larger-than-life characters, and while none of them are going to bring about the end times, some characters such as Zheng Fei, Lu Bu, and Guan Yu were written as legendary battlefield figures who could practically take on entire armies by themselves. The hero system in 3 Kingdoms really captures essence and gives any opportunistic man or woman in China to try and rise up and match their feats, and in battles they can be quite powerful. Now, the strength of these heroes has been toned down from Warhammer, so don't pit them against an entire army on their own, because they will end up dead. But letting your tougher heroes onto the field is a bit like letting Sauron loose with his mega whomping mace. The heroes heroes are more than just super soldiers though. They can buff your units with their many abilities, and they can also duel other heroes, and victory in a really well choreographed duel can be the turning point of many battles where the victor's troops will be inspired to make that final push, and the loser's army risks collapsing into disarray. If you don't want to duel or have one man with a spear wipe out masses of your troops effortlessly as well, you can switch off this option by playing a records mode campaign, which brings back the traditional bodyguard units for generals, but you'll still need to keep them happy off the battlefield. As you build your retinue of strategists, champions and vanguards and other characters, you'll need to ensure that everyone in your court remains happy, and so far a really enjoyable system that requires you to carefully consider your moves when building up your court, as passing up an experienced character for promotion could lead to losing courtiers, or pairing up people with conflicting traits to lead armies could lead to rivalries which may spur healthy competition or force your army to become a disorganized rabble while your generals bicker. A well-groomed character can also make a good spy, and there's lots of interesting possibilities from sowing discord to the classic opening of city gates during a siege or inciting rebellions. And it's really amusing to watch your double agent rise through the ranks of a rival court while you wait to pull that trigger on some major espionage. Overall, the character system is really brilliant, and your court truly is now the centre of your dynasty. Look after your courtiers and reward them well, and they will look after your holdings and fight your battles, and so far I have no complaints of this springing to mind. Diplomacy has been given a major rework for this title as well, and your diplomatic options are now plentiful, but don't worry about being overwhelmed, for you can go as deep or as shallow as you like thanks to the well-made interface. You can go to the quick deal menu and quickly pull off simple deals such as peace treaties or trade, or if you want to dive deep you can enter negotiations with other powers for vassalage, military support and other treaties. Each lord reacts differently to certain propositions and will have agendas of their own, such as stubborn lords refusing to join alliances and coalitions unless it is they themselves making the offer. If you get stuck as well, the make this work option is great for automatically generating a deal that will be accepted, and you'll still be free to tweak it and nothing is left to chance. You will always be in the know if your deal will pass or fail. And while I love the way the diplomacy has been constructed and how accessible and flexible it is, I would feel that it may be slightly too easy in that as soon as you encounter a faction you instantly know what their traits are and what your do's and don'ts are, but at the same time it does set the groundwork for a quick and easy negotiation. Coalitions are another new feature which lets you team up with like-minded factions to have each other's backs in a non-binding military alliance. New members or ejecting members or starting wars are put to votes, though one must be mindful of those who try to manipulate coalitions for their own designs rather than the greater good, and it can also evolve into fully fledged military alliances and make you a true power block in China. Last but not least, campaign progression. Victory is a lot more vague in this game. Rather than previous games where you needed to own certain regions, kill certain factions, or destroy a boss faction, your goal in Three Kingdoms is simply to achieve the mandate of heaven, become an emperor of a unified China. But how you do that is up to you. However, do not assume that this is a game of painting the map your own colour. Prestige and power does not come with land, after all. A mighty kingdom is nothing without development. As you progress through the campaign, you will find yourself focusing more on developing your commanderies for both that boost in prestige, but also to build an economy strong enough to bankroll the salaries of your courtiers and armies, which are not cheap to raise at all. And I really do once again like this new approach to the campaign. Yes, it is very sandbox, but the game does ease you in with some simple objectives to get you to grips with your faction and hit that first prestige rank without yourself becoming overwhelmed by everything. And I can really see myself playing this game multiple times across a variety of factions just to try new ways of progressing to emperorship, from capturing the puppet emperor and annexing the Han to forming a coalition to seize power by force of arms. Speaking of freedom, the technology tree, or the reform tree, is now much more flexible and also presented in a really cool artistic style, and it allows you to pursue what you feel is most important to your faction, be it public order, improved military supply lines, or food production. Ultimately, you will need a mix of these techs, but you will need to pursue new units through this tree as well, as recruitment is no longer based on buildings, but on what reforms you have researched and your general's recruitment abilities, so prepare to forget a lot of what you've learned about building chains. Overall, after about 20 minutes of play so far, which I know is a really minute amount of playtime on a Total War game, and I'm only just shy of halfway through my first campaign, I feel like this has the makings of a great Total War game, or to be one of, if not the most unique Total War games. With many fresh ideas and improvement of old ones, Three Kingdoms is a Total War game I could and will be playing over and over again, unifying China in new and interesting ways, from manipulating the diplomatic world as Cao Cao to destroying the bandit forces as Yuan Shao, or bringing about tyranny as Dong Zhuo. I wholeheartedly recommend this game so far. Bugs and glitches are close to non-existent, and I have not encountered anything game-breaking or irritating so far. And if you are new to Total War, while I do recommend starting off with Rome 1 or Medieval 2, Three Kingdoms will still welcome you with open arms and help you settle in to be a hands-off leader or a heavily involved leader in a game which I believe to be a great example of easy to pick up, difficult to master. And there you go, thank you for watching this little mini review of Total War Three Kingdoms. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy the game if you're going out there to buy it, or I hope you are enjoying it if you've already bought it. Are you having fun with it too? I hope you are. If you do want to see more reviews from myself, you can subscribe if you want, and maybe another review will come out at some point.